Hello and welcome to Joy News Desk with me, Sweetie Abochi. Coming up in this edition, Chairman of the Finance Committee describes current IMF program most severe. More as he warns that the nation risks becoming a failed state if it continues on the reckless path.
COVID-19 and the Russian war have impacted us adversely. But I do not think that we're not going to get here but for this.
Internet data and voice service disruption continue to raise national security concerns. We have more as the situation bites hard at business activities.
But they should try and do something about it because it has really affected our work today. Sending message to the house, sending message to an individual is not going through at all.
Joy News investigation revealed how one of the senior high school's heads resorted to treating weevil-infested bags of maize supplied by Free SHS Secretariat with neem leaves to enable the school to feed the students.
Maize infested. It was highly infested.
We have details in a bit. Please stay with us. In our first story, partial internet and data blackout in recent days has seen the mobilization of the telecom operators in the country in full gear to restore the service that is biting hard at businesses and the public. Outages on multiple submarine optic fiber cables incident has crippled the ability of telcos to provide the public with reliable internet, data and voice services. A statement released by the National Communications Authority and the Chamber of Telecommunications stated the following. It says the National Communications Authority regrettably informs the general public that multiple undersea cable disruptions has affected mobile and fixed data services nationwide. The disruptions affecting multiple undersea cables responsible for carrying international traffic have occurred in Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire, and with some disruptions in Portugal. This has led to a significant degradation of data services across the country. It is important to note that the mobile network operators have redundancies on other cables and are working around the clock to restore full services. In addition, the MNOs have informed affected customers of the disruptions via various countries. The statement continues to say it is important to note that the mobile network operators have redundancies on other cables and are working around the clock to restore their full services. Now, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Telecommunications, Dr. Ken Ashagbe, says what has happened is a rare occurrence and all is being done to find a solution to the problem. He spoke to my colleague, Evans Mensah.
My life as an engineer, I've not seen that many where you have really that many cables impacted at the same time. But in the current days, you're beginning to see some of this, but these numbers at the same time is the challenge, So then that's why the redundancy of your redundancy, your main is gone, your redundancy is gone. The redundancy of that redundancy also seem to have been hit, and that is what has put us in this precarious position. And so it will be interesting by the time we are able to do the root cause analysis to be able to find out what really caused all of these things happening around the same time.
So what's happening now to fix it? We have divers now in SAPC trying to look at this?
Well, the thing about these things is that there's work that constantly is going on through all of that, So, depending on the nature of what is first is you're trying to, I'm sure root cause analysis are being done. Then you also have the where you found out what the challenges are, trying to fix them. Try to identify where the cuts are and be able to, because for some of the cables, there are cuts that have happened. So trying to fix those cuts. Some of them are power challenges that have happened on some of the modules. So you're trying to then really go under sea and be able to fix all of that. So all of that is happening insofar as restoring these undersea cables are concerned. Because of the critical nature of this is something that work is going on around the clock to restore as quickly as possible. So I'm pretty sure as we go along, we're going to be seeing improvement in the services for some time till we'll be able to get to the optimum point.
And I'm pretty sure that you'll be updating us along the way because people really need this very urgently.
There is another statement from the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, and it reads, there are outages on multiple submarine optic fiber cables that come into Ghana. Some of the cables are down, while others are delivering limited capacity. This is impacting internet, data, and voice over IP services of the member of the chamber, that is the mobile network operators and data service operators, to varying degrees. So as a result, customers and subscribers are currently experiencing service challenges. Further investigation are being carried out, as well as work to resolve the current problems to restore service to our customers. The inconvenience to customers is deeply regretted. Now, Deputy Ranking Member of Communications Committee of Parliament, Sam George, says the incident raises a national security concern.
Definitely the major national security issue, not just national security, but economic as well. The fact that we have all the cable, or literally all the cable landings coming into Ghana, facing one compromise or the other, I think with very limited service on Glo 1, it creates a real challenge because from the seat of presidency to your legislature to the judiciary and all your military and intelligence nerve centers, everybody seems to be in the dark. So huge national security issues. I mean, I would expect that security installations would want to do a post-case analysis of even any potential compromises to their systems while this blackout has happened. With very limited access to the internet, I've tried to see if I could find any evidence of a similar time where we had multiple compromises at the same time on different platforms, because here you have the MTN platform WAX, which is literally taking out. You have Main One reporting challenges as well. ACE and SAT3 all seem to also have challenges. So I can't remember a time where we had multiple failures at the same time.
In fact, you're right. I mean, Engineer Chigbe says in his experience as an engineer, he's never seen anything like this before. He said this is highly unusual.
I mean, and so this would require a proper post-mortem.
Now, let's take a listen to some members of the public and how they are frustrated by this partial blackout, as my colleague Blessed Sugan reports.
Internet users in Ghana have been hard hit by the sudden disruption in supply of mobile and fixed internet services across the country. Sector regulator, the National Communications Authority, says the problem is attributable to multiple undersea cable disruptions. Even as technicians work around the clock to resolve the crisis, some Ghanaians say a cut in the internet supply is having a toll on their daily activities and businesses.
Yeah, I use MTN, I use Vodafone. Today it was a hell for me since morning till now. I cannot be able to access my Zoom. Even to print out my payslip was a highlight the whole day. I couldn't print it. Your payslip? Yes. Serious? Very serious. And then it close tomorrow. I have to print it tomorrow. And here is the I can't print it out.
Which means that
basically you might lose out on yours.
Basically, yes. I don't know what actually they want to use it for, but they say we should provide it by tomorrow at 8 a.m. And here is the case. The network is not working. I cannot access it. I cannot print it out.
When did you realize your internet was not working?
This morning, 8 a.m. Started this morning, 8 a.m. to now.
We use the internet always as in a form of receiving files, yes, retrieving and all those stuff. So we need internet for our daily works. But today with the internet connection, we felt that if you sent a file like just now, it will take you an hour or two before it sends, and you got to know that the network especially has a problem.
Yeah, I was a bit affected, but I use MTN, so it wasn't too much. I think it was with work that network was down, so we couldn't do much, but on my phone it's quite okay. I think it's just WhatsApp that's down, but with Snapchat it's okay. So
when did you realize?
Well, colleagues started complaining about it, but I was doing some work off the internet, so I didn't really mind. So I was just on my phone because I use MTN, it was better.
The National Communications Authority says it is working to resolve today's disruptions in internet supply across the country. The problem has been attributed to some undersea cables that have been cut in parts of Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal and Portugal. Ghana has felt the impact, with many internet users expressing their frustration about the disruption in internet supply for today.
But they should try and do something about it because it has really affected our work today. Sending message to the house, sending message to an individual is not going through at all.
So up to now, I've still not done my assignment. I'm hoping that maybe by the close of the day, I'll have a better network.
This problem, because Ghanaians, we're already suffering with one or two things. So this internet is what brings us some joy or something else. So we beg them, we should do something about it.
Leslie Sugan reporting for Joy News, Accra.
Still on this matter, let's now go to the phone line and speak to Maximus Amegbeto, who is a technology analyst. Hello, sir. Good morning. What do you make of what is happening on regards to this internet situation?
Good morning. And of course, this is an indication of the other side of the convenience technology that delivers to us on daily basis, right? Because we are comfortable with using, various services using the internet, so we can send money, send files, communicate with people, engage each other, do the basic things that we hitherto would have taken a car to long distances to go and engage in. So this particular unfortunate incident shows us that technology is a convenience that has been, invented that we are using. And it's quite unfortunate that businesses cannot run properly, individuals can't communicate, and a whole lot of things. Banks can't also operate properly and all that. So that is the issue that we are facing, and hope the issue can be resolved quickly.
Well, some players within the industry say this is a real occurrence. Do you share the same view?
Yeah, definitely. See, what people don't get is that internet is first physical before virtual, right? So cables must be laid from one point to the other for the data to be transported from different locations and across different networks before it terminates at our store and then distributed on our network. So technology is first physical. You need hardware. You need to set up the physical infrastructure for technology to work. So if they say, okay, there's a cut, definitely that is the reason. And the magnitude of this has never happened before. And it's occurring in different, locations and different countries. So we are not the only people who have been affected by this.
So would you say that this has a smack of suspicion to it?
Suspicion, I won't say suspicion. So like I said, so technology, the physical infrastructure has to be resilient. It must have redundancies for technology, for internet to work. And all these redundancies, the main lines, and different ones have been affected. So this gives us at least an idea to be able to develop a local, infrastructure backbone so that interactions within Ghana in terms of the banking and all that can be, a lot of people host their content outside. So if cuts happen on this scale, then it means that they cannot access those content. But if the things are hosted locally on virtual private networks and other, it becomes easier for us to still, engage in our services without, going outside to access content before coming back on the fiber cable.
Right. So we seem not to be out of the woods anytime soon. Any tips on how the public can navigate the situation?
I think they should just see this one as a digital holiday, right? So they should just relax. It's quite difficult, but just take this as a break from all the interaction that happens online, so that at least we can start our life, when the internet comes back. So they should not they shouldn't be anxious. They should just take it easy.
Do you think this is an avoidable situation, or what can be done to avoid incidents like this in the future?
That's a yes or no question, but the issue is that the extent of investment the telcos make in this sector will not make you believe that they didn't make the arrangements for redundancies or this kind of incidents. And that's why I was saying that because this happened in a larger scale, now you have to start solving the problem gradually, and if they start solving, they start moving from maybe MTN will go on a main one network, or Vodafone Cellular will go on an MTN network if they resolve their part quickly. So it's quite difficult. We can't say it's avoidable because it's technology. It's human. It's an invention, and it can happen anytime. Either the content, there's an outage, like it happened, WhatsApp and Facebook went off, or the connection itself can also go off. So that's the challenge. So the connection can go off, the content can go off anytime. So you just have to be ready and prepared for it. It's not 100%, guaranteed that we'll not have a problem.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maximus Ametogbo, who is a technology analyst. Thank you, sir, for your time. Now, moving on, MP for Kintampo North, Joseph Kwame Kuma, says government must treat the rising incident of internet fraud and identity theft as an emergency national security threat. According to the MP, unsuspecting young people, especially, are being duped on the internet, with many losing so much money. He spoke to journalists in Parliament.
The surge in fraudsters duping the youth of Ghana, duping all manner of persons through social media identity theft, defrauding people through impersonation, using members of parliament's pictures, creating multiple social media accounts, Facebook Messenger, and what have you. I have become worried for years now, but today I have seen that it is our collective responsibility, beginning from we individuals as a member of parliament, and a societal issue that we must all see as a problem. In Kintampo North alone, not less than 10 to 15 people have been defrauded in the name of the member of parliament using social media messenger
Joseph Kwame Kuma also implored the state to crack down on persons using the identities of members of parliament and other prominent politicians to fraud members of the public.
Identity fraud is going on the high. And I feel today I must say this, say it to Ghanaians by way of saving the youth. My aim is for us to all discuss it as a problem. It's a canker. It's becoming a national security problem. We must start at this point to continue our effort and to discuss it as a national issue. They have gone on. Currently, what is even happening is that multiple Facebook accounts are being created for members of parliament, and I'm sure not even the IGP is spared. They use everybody's name with your picture, and the vulnerable youth are convinced to also obey. Security employment is not left out, and people pay not less than 15,000, 12,000 to people only to get to know that they were defrauded. People have even gone to the extent of telling people they can send them abroad.
Away from that, Chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament, Kweku Kwating, has described as the most severe the current IMF program and says even without the Russian-Ukraine war, the nation couldn't have avoided where we are. Speaking on PM Express with George Wiafe, the legislator said the reckless management of public institutions must, as the nation, risk becoming a failed state.
If we don't change course as a country, the next crisis we will have will be worse than what we have. So never be misled to look at this as some kind of misbehavior within some short space of time, and therefore we should not have done that and we'll be fine. We have been walking this self-destruction path for decades. The warnings have always been there, and each IMF program has been more difficult than the previous. I admit that the current IMF program is the most severe, and it is because things are getting worse and worse. And if we don't change course, tomorrow there may not even be an IMF program. The next time there is this crisis, the IMF may not even be willing to come and put their money and their image in resolving our crisis. So if you ask why we did not see the signs, we did not see the signs first as a government, but also as a country, because we have traditionally been walking this path. And you would require some radical reforms to change path so that we will begin to do things right. What we have always done as a way of life, to spend more money than we can generate. And we do that in two ways. First, you have domestic expenditures, expenditures for which you pay with cedis. There are also expenditures that you need foreign exchange to pay for, especially your imports. Now, because we are not generating enough foreign exchange, there's always a gap between the foreign exchange we're able to generate and the foreign, if you like, the foreign expenditures in our expenditure basket. We borrow to fill the gap. So you will see that our external debt has been growing and growing and growing. I think it was always coming that Ghana was going to get to where we are. Once you do that, at some point it's going to come to a head. Even as a household, if you chose to do that, you'll be borrowing from the banks, you'll be borrowing from friends, you will be taking things on credit. At some point, your creditors are going to look at you and say, we won't lend to you again. That is where Ghana has got into. Our creditors are now saying they are not lending to us. And why? As we speak, we are in discussion with our external creditors to give them haircut. That is to say, the money we owe you, we can't pay everything. We can only pay you a part. So let's reach that agreement. So the point I'm making is, that is what has created the kind of economy we have. and we're always going to get here sooner than later. I am one of those who believe that, of course, COVID-19 and the Russian war have impacted us adversely. But I do not think that we're not going to get here but for this. I think we're always going to get here. It would have delayed a little bit if we didn't have COVID-19 and Russian war. But the fact remains that the path we were walking, we're always going to get here. So if you ask why we're here because of a certain reckless attitude to public expenditure, where we are always spending resources we do not have, thinking there will be no consequences. There would be consequences. We've come to a point where we have to have a very straightforward, frontal discussions about the negative cultures that have brought us here, and remind ourselves that if we continue along this path, we may soon have a failed state. Now, you ask, why do we do this? We do this because of our traditional attitude to the collective good. We won't do that in our personal businesses and in our households, because that is us, and we have our kids and our spouses and we love them. So we don't want to hurt the household, so they're thrown out of the house and they have no places to sleep. But when it comes to the management of public funds, it comes to the management of the public good, then all of a sudden it's nobody's business. And we make very bad decisions thinking there will be no consequences. So I'm quite clear in my mind that we are here because of these behaviors. You can't explain it any other way. The evidence is so clear. Maybe the discussion is, how do we get out of here?
The Information Services Department says it is facing serious financial challenges in the delivery of its mandate. The department, which works under the Ministry of Information as a principal public relations outfit of the government to disseminate government policies, programs and activities to citizens, spoke to Joy News. The acting director of the department, Dr. Winfred Nafisa Mahama, says barely 30% of their annual budgets get funded.
It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing to write home about. Yes, it's improved quite recently, but it's nothing to write home about.
Not beyond 50%?
No, not.
Not up to that?
Not even up to 30%. So, yes. Information services have suffered over the years. At a point, it's an agency under the Ministry of Information. At a point, there's no Ministry of Information, and so it's pushed to another department. At a point, it comes back to the other. It affects the department. It affects how we flow and how we work. You understand? But you see, we are in an era where information and communication runs governance. So if your structures are not empowered, if your structures are not in place, you'll be working and nobody will see or hear or anything. You understand? Information is what runs every governance system. COVID should tell you that if you falter in your communication, then you've really not done anything, because we're all locked down, we're all in the home. But what was keeping us is the information that was going on, the right information. So it tells you the importance of information, and it tells you the importance of building or getting your structures in place to be able to support the governance structure, governance system to be able to work.
She also noted that the department has only 20 information vans dotted across the 216 assemblies across the country.
We have less than 20 vans working.
Less than 20?
Yes.
Scattered across the country?
Yes.
In the headquarters, how many do you have?
In the headquarters, we have about 4. Yeah, about 4.
Which means that approximately most of your offices in the districts, municipal and metropolitan assemblies don't have the van. How are they coping?
That's what I'm saying, that we pool. You understand? For instance, if we have to do a public relations, a campaign in a particular region, we pool. You understand? And then do the work and then we go back.
Meanwhile, Information Minister designate Fatima Abubakari says the government will procure some 40 vans for the Information Services Department by the end of this month. Now, in other stories, Joy News' investigations have revealed how one of the senior high school heads resorted to treating weevil-infested bags of maize supplied by the Free SHS Secretariat with neem leaves to enable the school to feed its students. In our latest Hotline documentary, Empty Plates, the Free SHS Promise, Joy News' Kwete Nate visited some senior high schools and reports on the grim reality of the quantity of food served to students.
To the online platform I had infiltrated, I discovered numerous complaints from school heads about weevil-infested maize bags supplied, despite assurances from the Free SHS coordinator that only a few bags were affected. My observations revealed several bags of maize being treated with neem tree leaves to ward off the pests. Given the critical food shortages, some school heads have conveyed to me their inability to discuss the contaminated maize as there's scarcely enough to feed the students.
If you look at here, I want you to take, I want you to take a view. This is maize infested. It was highly infested. So, someone advised us that we can use the neem tree. So yesterday, we put it outside. The boys put it outside.
And these were given to be fed to the children?
Yes, free SHS. And so, they are there not. So I'm experimenting. So yesterday we spread it on the ground. We put the neem tree on it. And we are seeing some reduction and that's what. But is this the work of headmasters?
Empty Plates, the Free SHS Promise, will be airing on Monday, March 18th on Joy FM's Super Morning Show at 8:30 a.m. and Joy News Channel at 8:30 p.m. Be on the lookout for that. But still on education, the Conference of Heads of Basic Schools is asking the government to promptly pay the utility bills of basic schools to reduce the burden on school authorities. The conference says its members who are indebted to utility service providers have had water, electricity and sanitation services truncated following the government's failure to settle the bills. Ashanti Regional Chairman Christopher Bani tells Joy News the failure of the government to absorb the utility bills of basic schools has been the case with second cycle schools, amounts to neglect. Oyemin Tewia reports.
The Conference of Heads of Basic Schools cites the delayed release of capitation grant, infrastructure deficits, lack of textbooks, especially for kindergarten pupils, and unhygienic sanitary facilities as some of the pressing needs of basic schools. They also cite high insecurity as well as encroachment of school lands among challenges. COPS accuses government of paying too much attention to second cycle education at the expense of basic level. Ashanti Regional Chairman Christopher Bani, while addressing members at a regional executive committee meeting, asked the government to ease basic schools from the burden of high utility bills.
Our schools are grappling with significant infrastructure deficits that affect the overall learning experience. Examples include poor toilet facilities in our schools, the need for painting and renovation of school buildings. Additionally, there is a dire need for essential furniture, such as tables and chairs for both learners and teachers. We employ the government to recognize the crucial role that adequate infrastructure plays in creating a conducive learning environment. The standard-based curriculum has been in use for 3 years. The non-supply of textbooks for junior and primary schools is affecting the basic schools. Urgent intervention is needed to address this shortage. Schools are burdened with the challenge of paying utility bills, adding strain to their financial resources. We appeal to government to take responsibility for settling all utility bills in our schools. Some are even owing 20,000 water bills. Others are owing 10,000 and so on. So if a school is paying about 500 Ghana cedis a month, and the capitation grant it receives is 800 Ghana cedis, that is where the population is very high. How can you pay the utility bills?
The Conference of Heads of Basic Schools also wants government to be consistent in the release of capitation grant, which they describe as meager, while making an attempt to improve teaching and learning outcomes at basic schools.
The capitation grant release do not adhere to the agreed 10 cedis per child per year. This poses a significant obstacle to effective school management. On Gallop grants extension, we strongly advocate for the extension of Gallop grants to all schools nationwide.
Meanwhile, the group is proposing a meeting with the Education Minister to address their concerns. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oiminteria reporting.
Former Chief Justice Georgina Wood is pledging her support towards strengthening the social protection system as she identifies the struggles of the vulnerable in society. Speaking at the launch of the Boameman Ghana Foundation at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the former Chief Justice urged Ghanaians to donate items they no longer use to support the needy in ensuring justice and fairness for all.
Boameman Ghana Foundation is a non-governmental organization aimed at providing basic needs to the vulnerable in society. Speaking during the launch of the foundation at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, former Chief Justice Georgina Wood urged Ghanaians to help protect the social welfare of the needy by donating some items to the foundation.
As former Chief Justice, I have dedicated my life to upholding the law and ensuring fairness and justice for all Ghanaians, regardless of their economic circumstances. However, in addition to a strong legal framework, I have realized that vulnerable communities truly flourish where education thrives and individuals reach their full potential. How do they reach that potential? They do so because the socio-economic gaps are reduced with the introduction of foundational resources, often with support of visionary philanthropists. This is the philosophy that inspires the Boameman Ghana Foundation, a vision for greater opportunity for all, regardless of the circumstances they were born into. It is a vision that I wholeheartedly embrace and support.
Director of Boameman Ghana Foundation, Mawena Dumotreba, pledged that the foundation will help provide the basic needs of the less privileged in society.
Our founder, Clemence Jato, is of the view that we don't have to wait for natural disasters and only rely on the National Disaster Management Authority to support communities when there are difficulties and challenges. We have an opportunity as individuals to go into our closets, to go into our garages, to look for whatever it is we have that perhaps we are no longer using. The Boameman Ghana Foundation will take it, refurbish it, and redistribute it to those who have. So that is really the philosophy behind the foundation.
The vision of Boameman Ghana Foundation is to create empowered communities through giving in support of local, regional, and national development. Ramat Bashir's reports for Joy News.
Chairman of the Council of State, Nana Otu-Serebo, is urging Ghanaians to be proud to tell their own stories and encourage younger generations to appreciate their own role models. Speaking at the launch of the Ghana Association of Former International Civil Servants series on some outstanding Ghanaians, he said the first edition of the book, which features accomplished Ghanaians, has given us the opportunity to celebrate our compatriots. There is more in this following report by Peace Vojogbo.
The book,
Authored by the Ghana Association of Former International Civil Servants, GAFIX, is an exciting 510-page book which tells the stories and showcases the remarkable achievements of 19 iconic Ghanaians across various fields, from renowned and trailblazing mathematicians and scientists to iconic photographers and committed public servants. The Omanhene of the Joabin traditional area and chairman of the Council of State, Nana Otusrebo II, said the book is designed to celebrate accomplished Ghanaians.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure and honor to have been invited by this august Association of GIFEX to chair this very important event. As a country, it is important for us to know who we are, what we are capable of doing, and what we have achieved. This will give us confidence in ourselves, inspire us to strive to do more, and to ginger up our youth to emulate their outstanding achievements. We should be proud to tell our own stories and encourage our younger generations to appreciate our own role models.
Volume 1 of the series promises to inspire readers with tales of resilience, innovation, and leadership. A member of GAFIX, Dr. Eugenia Dateba, talked about the importance of the book and getting to know the remarkable achievements of the 19 outstanding Ghanaians featured in the book.
And we cover all the key areas of a person's life, not just their education and professional achievements, but also their family life, where they were born, the villages they came from, their parentage, and so on. So you learn about these countrymen of yours who have achieved so much, given so much to this country, given so much to their local communities, their villages, and so on, and also done so much for other parts of the world, you know. You see, so you will learn a lot about these people. And what is also important for a young person is you can learn from the strategies these people adopted to rise to the level they did. Some came from very poor families, and yet they were able to become secretary generals, under secretary generals, you know, heads of UN organizations in different countries and regions, and so on. So this will give you, some inspiration as to the kinds of things you need to do.
Educationist Anis Hafa lauded GAFIX for taking the initiative to author the book.
Some of the icons in this book combine professional achievements with philanthropy, community service, and powerful advocacy for gender issues, and so on. More of such volumes, as we've been told, will cover other outstanding Ghanaians from different parts of the country to demonstrate purpose, determination, hard work, and the will to succeed. Another lesson to be drawn from their careers was that even if one came from lowly backgrounds, they could still aspire to achieve excellence irrespective of the daunting obstacles. These days, where the youth seem confused about the direction of this great country of ours, it is well holding up to them the models of these exemplars.
Right, it's time for us to break, and when we return, there's business news with Pius. Our apologies for that. We'll bring you business news in a subsequent bulletin, but that's how we're wrapping up for Joy News Desk today. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Join me again at 12 o'clock. See you soon.